everything just feels like it's rolling down a hill. We're going to get into it. Let's go. Welcome back to AsArt. My name is Nick, and I have Cha.Cha.Cherry here with me. She's an awesome photographer on Instagram. Go check her out. And now we're going to talk about Rings of Power. Yes, I've been very negative on it. I've been trying to do a positive spin on it with Kyle, but there's just a lot to be frustrated about. But we're going to try to start off with some good. And I think the only thing that's salvageable out of this whole series are the dwarves.
I think the orcs are kind of like they're doing a decent job with the orcs. Like it could have been a worse job.
Okay, the orcs. Yeah, and you know what's funny, because I feel like the orcs are nicer than the Heartfoots. I've stated that many times on this channel. But overall, like, they have a home. We should be happy. The orcs finally have a home.
Yeah, the Southern Lands.
Which is now Mordor, thanks to the text on the screen. Gosh, I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
I don't know why they had to do that. That was like the
funny.
Worst.
I think they're just trying to make sure that everybody knows and gets it. Like, this is the birth of Mordor.
But a character could have stated it. Like, the screen could have went to black and he could have said, murder. Or something. The text on the screen was like, this is like so lazy. Like, after the, we forgot to record someone saying Mordor. Let's put it on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're kind of, it reminds me of a BBC version where they would put the title of where they're at. And I don't really hate that they're doing that, but that was corny to go from like Sutherland to Mordor.
Or it would have been cool. You know how they do those map shots? It would be cool if they showed it on the map and it like changes to Mordor or something like that. It was just like the text on the screen. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it, but I am a fan of Durin. Both Durin, with his father, you know, and the younger king, Durin the third and the fourth. I'm a big fan of their acting and what they have going on. I like their voices, and it's like cool. They actually have like some kind of bond going on or development. Like, you don't trust me. There's argument and conflict, which is good. Like, I'm really enjoying that. I mean, by me saying I'm enjoying that, and that's the best part. That's like on a bar that's constantly going down with the show.
You just like them because of the dwarves, and they like have the close-ups of an axe. So you're probably like, that's pretty cool.
No, it's cool. And it's just cool that they're embraced in costume, because I feel like the elves were not getting their costumes. They're almost like men with their hair short with pointy ears. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not even like, it was so cool.
Yeah, I do feel like their ears are a little bit too short.
But in like, even in Lord of the Rings, when Frodo sees, you know, an elf, it's like she's glowing. Remember when and it's just like this magical. Yeah. And we're not getting that really with these elves, which is kind of sad. But oh boy, so we got to jump into this. Freaking eruption happened. Mount Doom exploded last episode, and we see burned people right next to Galadriel, and she's not really burnt. She has some ashes on her, but we see like buildings destroyed.
I mean, she was dodging things in the battle before, so I'd imagine that she could just dodge everything else.
I mean, but it's also surprising too how many people were unscathed by this massive explosion.
Like all the important people.
Exactly.
Well, the queen can't see. She, became blind from.
But that was after that was when the building fell down, though. She was fine after the explosion. Remember, she's like, "Let me help you lift this thing," and she's like, she lifts the thing, and then when they go into the house, and that's when like it goes down, and she obviously loses her eyesight. Which later on, she's like, "Don't tell anyone, but I'm gonna wear a blindfold."
Yeah. Nobody will know. Just let me guide my horse. And then by the time she's on the ship, she's like, and I'm going to go with red, a bright red. Well, I guess she can't see. So nobody told her that it was red.
Anyway, that was just a funny thing I thought. I'm like, she doesn't want anyone to know, but she has a blindfold on. But it's, and then these characters just walk out, which I think is interesting. The orcs didn't attack them at their most vulnerable point. When everyone was there in the city, you had orcs in the city, you had horses, and you had humans. You had everyone there, and it was just weird that, like, I don't know. It was very, very unanswered questions. But then, obviously, our main characters have plot armor. They all get out okay, and then I think just a really bad writing choice. Isildur. We don't need to put his life on the line like he's going to die, because we know we need him later on for the
they're
ring.
just trying to do some like character development for him. Like this is like, okay, look, this is how he becomes the king one day. Look, he's had hardships too. He almost died.
Or maybe they're going to do what they have been doing, rip off from the trilogy. So they let the horse go, his horse go. We're probably going to get an Aragorn scene where the horse is going to run into the ashes. His hand's going to go up, grasp the hair on the horse. He's going to hop on the horse and the horse will take him back to the fortress.
That was a very intense scene for them to film, by the way, though. And with Viggo Mortensen, like that is a very impressive scene to do with the horse. Like he is actually performing with the horse.
Very impressive. The behind the scene footage on that, if you have not seen it, is incredible. They talk about how they trained and it's a real horse and all that stuff. And Viggo is the man. He even broke his toe kicking the helmet, and they left that shot in.
Did they have to make Halbrand look so much like him? I'm like, it's just is that deliberate? You're gonna have scenes with him riding away and
oh my gosh, yeah. And then we got to talk about that, right? Halbrand is injured to the point where he is stuck in a bed, right? They're like, oh, you need elvish medicine. Like he looks like he's dying on the bed.
Line, like seriously though, the same line. That one's gone so far. What was it? There's something else in that one too, where it started to hurt anytime they use the same lines from something, just like a different character saying it.
Yeah, and then he's able to get out of bed magically, hop on a horse, and now he's riding somewhere. But it's like this guy looked like he was on his deathbed a second ago. Like I don't know what's going on with the writing with a lot of this stuff, but it's very interesting. But I still think Halbrand is Sauron. And this is his ticket in to get into the Elven City. And then he's like, I'm going to get them all evil and they're going to make my rings of power. And he's like,
I think that'd be entertaining.
I know how to forge.
That's a good idea.
It is. But the thing that's not a good idea, I still feel like they're trying to do this love story between Sauron, Halbrand, and Galadriel, which is going to be very awkward when he turns evil and he becomes Sauron.
I think it's what they're getting at and that they want to do. Maybe it's just for shock value.
Oh my gosh, they almost dated and kissed once.
Well, and then this one too, with the I should have been like, I was trying to pay attention, but the ghostly girls that the
followers of they feel like bad guys. The three women, right? Or people, the three people. Yes. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
What's their story?
I believe they're after who I think is Gandalf, the meteor man.
Okay.
So,
which there's still no way that could have possibly, like, that can't be Gandalf.
I don't know. It's just a theory I have because everything kind of relates to being Gandalf, right? He's a friend of the hobbits. He's able to talk to bugs. He does the buggins, like where like it gets dark around him when he gets angry. And now he can like talk to trees. And I think even Treebird said like Gandalf was always good to the trees. Like, you know what I mean? So like there was like this like, oh, maybe he's
but I don't
friends
think
with
like
the trees.
On his timeline, is it possible for him to even?
Well, technically, a lot of stuff like is different than the timeline.
Know when he was coming.
Well, he came on boat,
he was
right?
Greeted? Yeah, he was greeted.
He came on a boat with Sauron and Radagast. No, Saruman and Radagast, right? Like they all came on a boat together.
Yeah, but then like that's why they were put in old form too, to make them a little bit more weak. So there's no way that he's just lost on his own.
Well, I mean, with the timeline in this storyline, anything could happen because Galadriel, apparently her husband's dead, which is not part of it. She should have a kid and the kid should be with Elrond because they get married and then they have anyways. I
can't believe they wrote that in there. I can't. This is too weird.
Tell me where's my husband? I had to speak with him. You know what? You know what's really funny too? I was thinking about this. So we just found out her husband's missing in action. So she thinks he's dead, right? So her brother dies and she's hell-bent on revenge on Sauron, right? She's like, I'm going to find Sauron. She spends thousands of years looking for Sauron. What about her husband? No time was spent looking for her husband this whole time. I just don't understand this character. I don't understand this character, but yes, we got that
makes
line.
Absolutely no sense.
And you know what made that part even worse? They took from the trilogy again. They're like, let's hide under this log.
Oh,
and
that
then
was
the orcs, then the orc's like, it's like, wow, he's sniffing. Where have we heard that before? I'm surprised bugs didn't crawl all over them.
The same archway too of the framing in the shot.
I'm like, they should have threw a bag of mushrooms off to the right. I was just like, how many times do they need to rip off the original trilogy? I mean, this
is worse than any Star Wars movie I've ever seen, where there's little hints of like R2-D2 or C-3PO. Like, every other line is a mimic.
Well, just so you know, the showrunners were showrunners on Star Trek, on the Star Trek reboots, on the Star Wars reboots. They all learned from J.J. Abrams himself. So we're almost getting that like mystery box writing where they kind of always at the end of every episode, it's like, ooh, there's the Balrog tease. Ooh, we're going, like every episode ends with like a stupid mystery box.
Oh my God, the Balrog. It's like the same intro shot to the Balrog too in the Fellowship of the Ring.
It's the same design too.
Yes.
And it's also really funny that a leaf would wake him up.
There's one of the shots with the Galadriel too, where she was riding her horse. And I was like, man, the horse looks so animated.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
But same thing with this Balrog. Like, it looks the same. It's just not as cinematic. It just feels very cartoony to me. And
you know what's the best part in the Fellowship, right? Mm-hmm. We don't see the Balrog. We hear the Balrog.
Right.
We see the lights. We see the orcs run away. It's like this dramatic tension and anticipation's built up to like, what is this beast? And he's like, your swords are no use here, to the bridge. Run! And it's like this. Yeah, exactly. And then, but it builds up to that battle scene where this is just like, well, I'm here underneath everyone. It's like, oh, come on. Like maybe just show like a light glow in the distance. Like you don't have to show Jaws. You have to build up to Jaws or else he's no longer like cool. And that bugged me a lot because the Fellowship did such a good job.
Like I'm trying to think, even because the only other Prime show I like is The Boys. And they don't really use cinema either. You know what I mean? They're not really telling their story I don't know very many other Amazon shows. Like I saw the one with Orlando Bloom when he's like a fairy or something. And then
the Shadow or something, the Dark Shadow or something like that. I don't know what it's
Love
called.
Future Man. Future Man's different though. But they're still not using like cinematography as a beauty part of the story being told.
And that probably has to do with that they just want to sell Amazon Prime memberships. It's not like Netflix. Netflix's business relies on their video content. Mm-hmm. Prime, it's like, hey, it's a bonus if you have our packaging mailing service that you get. So it's like they just have money to spare almost. They're just like, and like, what's the purpose of the show? To get more people to buy Amazon Prime so they can buy more products? Or is it to start a cinematic universe? You know what I mean? So it's like almost like, what are your goals even with the show?
Yeah. That could be why though. It didn't feel like there wasn't very many pretty shots.
No, there's not. And I have to
maybe of the Sutherland.
Yeah, we have to cover the Hartfoots. It's my least favorite part of the whole show, the Hartfoots. And
I'll go with you. Where's my walking stick? I'm coming too.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
he's not alone.
We're coming too. It's like they're reenacting the whole like Fellowship part. He's like, but so those guys come in, the worshiper guy. First of all, after there's a terrible reference to the Ents. He's like, oh, even trees. It was like so forced, like these like things they want to like give us like the remember bears. Like, oh, remember the Ents? It's just like, oh, I know who the Ents are. It's okay. You don't have to, tease me with these things. Or even like the way he was explaining like these fire things go to sleep and then they wake up. It's like, oh, you're the mindset of the Hartfoots. I don't know if I'm enjoying the mindset of the Hartfoots. But then they kick out the stranger. I don't know. So it's like a story plot line. But then these three people come. Right. And then it's pretty obvious they know where he went. Like there's pointing. And then this girl's like, they went to that way. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Remind me of the Three Witches, the beginning of Macbeth.
But it's just like And then instead of they should have just killed the Heartfoots. They just burn their fruit. And then they leave. Yeah, they like burn their fruit and then they leave. It's just so stupid. But then, you know what's funny too? So they're all hiding, right? But the dad comes out of nowhere with a torch. It's like, how was he hiding the torch? But there's so many things like that in this show where I'm just like, what's going on? But I am just not a fan.
Where did the stranger go?
The stranger went to go look for his stars. So I'm guessing
but they don't actually know where he is.
I'm guessing he went towards Mordor. That seems like the path where he went. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know though, because I don't even know where they are yet exactly. Like they could be, I think they were like in the swamp, maybe the dead marshes last episode. And now maybe they're along the northern part of Mordor. I don't know where they're at. I just know they belong in the Shire, which is the other side of the map. But
it's so annoying when you think about like Gandalf and what they're doing with that story. It's like, because he was sent
Galadriel too, right?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be like almost magical too with her powers. And she's supposed to be like one of the wisest characters in Middle Earth too. And they're having to act like a teenager. Even though this episode, she was a little bit more wiser, but the thing she made didn't line up with the previous episode. So she's like, oh, you don't want to think about killing orcs. Like even the thought of its darkness, but even though she threatened to kill every orc in front of Adar.
And taught classes how to.
Yeah, but just like, how do you flip so quickly? You can't. No, that's not how character development works. But yeah. And then we have the boy. I don't even know the boy's name, but
Theo.
We have Theo.
Should be easy to remember.
And apparently his ears haven't been shown yet, so he could be a half elf. They never
Their story is so boring. Like that part, anytime like it comes to their scenes, that's when I usually start doing something.
And how many times has his mom died almost, right? She got shot by two arrows.
Like Belle now with the red. It was like they look like they're imitating Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, she's always so clean compared to every other Southlander too, huh? She's always like popping on the screen compared to everyone else. It's probably a visual thing, so you can pick her out in
she's
the
got
crowd.
the most color, yeah.
But yeah,
she's got the bright blue,
which
and
is
red.
Just so funny because all the other Southlanders don't.
Like Galadriel's horse.
And okay, so their camp, which we never saw them set up, but it's magically set up right outside the blast radius zone. The camp is outside. He's like just above this hill, right? And they're still in this cloud of darkness or whatever. But when they're outside, everything's blue skies. You don't see like a cloud on any corner, like showing like that's where Mordor's at. Like,
yeah.
And I think that's so interesting. Like everything's just blue skies. It's like you would think you would get a shot. I don't know. It's just so many things that just
wrong.
Oh, and then they also confirmed their made-up story about Mithril extending the elves' lives in Middle Earth is true. So Durin throws the magical Mithril cube right by the leaf with the black veins, and it cures it. It's like, oh my gosh, who knew that? Like, it's so stupid. It means every elf has to wear Mithril now, as long as they're in Middle Earth. Which doesn't make, I don't know. I just don't know what they're doing with this show. I don't know if they're trying to kill off the dad too, the Durin the Third by the Balrog. I don't know if they're going to have a Balrog fight next scene, which would be so weird to have one this early. Because I thought when the Balrog comes, that's the doom of Khazad-dûm. And we haven't seen their heyday yet. And if they just discovered Mithril, I doubt if they'll have enough to make Frodo's magical Mithril or Bilbo's magical Mithril in time for the Obviously, I'm pretty pissed off. Not pissed off. I'm just more disappointed in this show. Like, it's such a high budget, and we're getting nothing for what we're getting in the budget, I feel like.
Can you imagine if they do this to Zelda? I'm just gonna say that. Like, if we're going down with Lord of the Rings like this, like, what if they did something like this to Zelda? Like, what if Amazon got their hands on Zelda? How scary would that be? Well,
Nintendo's very protective. So the Mario trailer just dropped, right? They have Chris Pratt being Mario, Jack Black is Bowser and stuff, but it's partnered with Nintendo. They're like co-producing it. So like I have faith it's going to be a decent storytelling, or if not good, because Nintendo's highly attached to it, and they've been
Who are they making it with?
Illumination.
Okay.
So like
I didn't even know. I have to look into that.
They did the Lego movie.
Oh, sick. Okay.
And all that stuff. So like there's hope for it. I don't know who the director is, but there's hope for this series. I mean, obviously Chris Pratt being Mario, I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear Chris Pratt doing an Italian voice. Thank God, which he isn't. He's not in the trailer. But he's like, I'm a Mario. But Charlie Day's playing Luigi, which I'm actually pretty excited to hear. Anything awesome. Charlie Day does, I'm like behind it 100%. But yes, it's been a very interesting journey. I'm happy there's only one episode left. They did start shooting for season 2 already.
My God.
And they want to do 5 seasons, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with the stories and the characters. The visuals are fine. The visuals get me through it, but the heart of it is just so bad. Like the writing. For every decent piece of story you get like 20 bad stories with that. Like it's like there's not enough good to even counter the bad at this point. It's just it's drowning in my opinion, and it needs to be saved.
Well, I don't think
and it's gonna be awkward when Galadriel goes back next episode to talk to her king and be like, yeah, I jumped off the boat, met this guy in the middle of nowhere, started a war, I kind of helped a mountain explode, and then now there's evil everywhere in the land. He's like, this is why I wanted you to leave.
The Southern Lands now has got a new name.
Yeah, it's up here on the screen if you look. It's like, gosh, it's crazy. And I thought it was stupid that the Numenorians left. I mean, they should have brought an army in the first place if the Queen Regent was. There's just so many questions.
Stories that Amazon, like, I'm trying to think of what they could have done, and there's tons of stories that they could have chosen to make. I'm even thinking like Source of Magic or
the
comic book like Sojourn, that they have like orcs, and it's like a similar thing. I'm just trying to think like, man, what should you guys have done instead?
So they did Wheel of Time.
What's Wheel of Time?
It's a fantasy series. It's very highly influenced by Lord of the Rings, of course, like every fantasy series is. But like they did that, and I remember I watched a couple episodes of it, and I was not a fan of it. And I was like, if this is a tease of what Rings of Power is going to be, I lost faith in Amazon at that point. And just, hearing all the issues they had and the struggles they had and stuff like that they spent 18 months shooting this. That's a long time for shooting a TV series. And I think the average per episode is $60 million per episode. Game of Thrones is $10 million an episode, roughly. So it's far exceeding the budget of Game of Thrones. And
wild.
And the visuals, great. If they did put all that money to the visuals, that's really overpriced visual effects. But it's terrible, the story. And that's what's really hurting me here at the core is the story and the plots. Anything else you want to say on the matter?
There's nothing to say. I just can't wait until this series is over.
You're that
I'm
bored.
So bored. And there's nothing to really get attached to.
And you love Lord of the Rings. You have tattoos. Yes. You have a Legolas standee. Mm-hmm. I mean, you name it. Gandalf she owns it. She has swords. She has swords. She has,
all the toys, newspaper clippings,
huge Lord
from
of the Rings
the movies. But
yeah, we've also like when they re-released all 3, extended editions in theater, we would sit in the theater all day to watch the extended editions in theater. And she was dressed up as Legolas the whole time. Like literally, this is what we do, and it's just so sad to see. I just hope everyone goes back and does a cleansing with the original trilogy. Just go back to Hobbiton, go back to Rohan, go back to Gondor, go back to even Mordor, the Mordor we know. Go back to Mordor.
Or an audiobook or just the book.
Yeah, and it's so funny, even the color grading. Mordor's color grading compared to this, like this just looked like it was just like tinted red. It was not my favorite color grading for sure, but anyways, on that note, go follow John.
Yeah, I'm still going to look forward to The Boys on Amazon. Like, this isn't going to stop me from watching The Boys.
No, and then hopefully we'll get some other cool content too. I mean, we're here to watch content. Overall, we're pretty positive about the content we watch here. Like, we just finished Westworld too, and there was negative things about Westworld, but overall, we enjoyed the series overall. And this has just been so rough to get through. Andor, me and Kyle are watching that. The new Star Wars show is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. And I'm kind of digging it so far. We really love House of Dragons here. And there's 2 fantasy series going on right now where I would definitely pick House of Dragons over Rings of Power. Would you, Britt?
Oh, definely.
Yeah.
I mean, White Lotus starts today on HBO.
White Lotus. So there you
that's what I'm going to go watch after.
She's going to cleanse her mind.
I'm so excited.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, I think we hit all the funny stuff. It was just such a waste of an episode. Like, they literally went nowhere in a whole episode. Like,
this whole
story plot wise.
Series has been a waste of time.
Yeah. It's just like pedaling with the bike, but the back part's lifted up. We're literally not progressing anywhere. Yeah. That's how it feels. And we're swimming in circles like Galadriel was in the big sea. So hopefully you'll find a raft. If you do, please subscribe to AsArt and follow cha.cha.cherry on Instagram. She's an awesome photographer and she loves Lord of the Rings. She'll chat about it anytime, any place, anywhere. And we'll see you. Oh, by the way, get cool merch. Here's our new dragon shirt. Whoop, whoop. AsArt.space. And we'll see you on the next AsArt.
It's so bad, Precious. We can't do it anymore, Precious. Stupid Bezos.
Yeah.